Hey everybody, it's Russell Della Pena and my lovely wife Diana, and excited today. I want to give you some free content that I hope will help you in your investing endeavors. Got some great feedback from a survey that we ran last week, and got a lot of great responses, a lot of great questions. And some were on how we can improve, which was always good. A little bit of humble pie, but most of them was definitely about just being excited about our program and what we're offering and what we're doing. But also had a lot of great questions on other ways to invest in real estate, and maybe some other ways besides just your usual vanilla lease option. And so today I want to give you some chocolate. Different flavor here on how to do a lease option. So this is going to be the 4 quick and easy ways to profit from a sandwich lease option without using any of your own money or credit, and doing it all from Starbucks, because that's what I do. I normally just bring my laptop and got my cell phone and sip on iced coffee or black iced tea, which I really like. Get the venti, and I invest, and I also record these videos. And so, as I've shared in other videos, I buy assets or I create them. And so today I'm going to show you how to create an asset for your investing business. And I recognize that people that are listening to these videos come from all different walks of life throughout the country, even throughout the world, as we get folks from all sorts of different countries and so forth. And so your experience and level is going to be different than mine. Some of you are more advanced than me, some of you are less advanced than me. And so hopefully we can share some ideas. And of course, you're always welcome to correspond with me if you have questions or concerns, or just whatever that we might be able to do to help. We want to do that. So let's get on with the training here. And a real quick warning, this is a very simplified version of using this exit strategy. So I don't want you to think it's all inclusive. It's not. It's going to be a really short video, so of course it can't be all inclusive. So I'm not an attorney also, so here's my quick disclaimer. I'm not an accountant. You should always seek proper legal advice in your state, in your country. You should also receive proper accounting advice, and this is just meant to be something to inspire you, something to get you to start looking into lease options, and of course in this particular training, sandwich lease options as one more tool for your tool belt, not the only tool. And even within this own tool, there's different ways to use it, different ways to structure it. And so this is really meant to be an overview, not a specific, because there's just not enough time. I literally would put you to sleep if I went through all of the details and specifics and contracts and marketing and all that kind of stuff in this one particular video. So with that said, again, you can get as creative as you want, and if you take action, you will make lots of money, of course, if you're doing things the right way. And some of you won't make any money by doing this, so I've got to give that FTC disclaimer as well. Some will make zero money. It's not my fault, I promise. You just got to say that, and because you may not have all of the puzzle pieces that you need to put this together. And so if you don't, you definitely want to seek out the wise counsel that you can get either in your marketplace, or of course, we're always wanting to help folks too. So if you have questions, ask us as well. All right, disclaimers out of the way. Let's get to the meat and nitty gritty of it and have some fun. So what is a sandwich lease option? Well, literally, if you'll imagine a sandwich, you've got 2 slices of bread, you've got meat in the middle, right? So the 2 slices of bread are going to be the seller on the outside and the tenant buyer on the other, with the other slice of bread. You're going to be the meat in the middle. Okay, so again, imagine this actual sandwich, 2 slices of bread on the outside, you are the meat in the middle. And that's why they get the term the sandwich lease option. So let's go through some of the numbers so this makes a little bit more sense as to why I'm talking about sandwiches. I'm making myself hungry and probably yourself as well. Okay, so the seller in this particular example, wants to sell their property for $100,000, and they want to rent the property for $1,000, and they're willing to take 3 years for the end tenant buyer. You're going to be the buyer, and then you have an end tenant buyer, the person that you're going to assign the option over to. So you're just buyer number one. Buyer number two is the end buyer, because they're the one that ultimately is going to buy the home, live in the home, etc. And so the seller is saying, look, I'll sell the property for $100,000. I want to rent it for $1,000, and I will give a lease term, meaning the end tenant buyer can lease this property for 3 years. Your job is to lock up the assignable lease option rights. And this is actually a little picture of a screenshot of a deal I did. It was just only $3,000, but it was a quick and easy deal. And the option assignment fee that I charged was $3,000. So you want to get an assignable contract. That's critical. If it's not assignable, you got to buy it. And that's not your goal, right? You want to turn around and you want to lock up purchase price, terms, and rental amount, and then you want to be able to assign that over to somebody else. If you think of a baton race, where you see in the Olympics, folks are grabbing this stick and they run around the track and they pass the baton on to somebody else. So the assignable contract is allowing you to hold the contract or hold the baton, run around the track, and then pass it off to somebody else, and then they're going to run off with the baton in their hand. And of course, in this case, you're going to be making money in the switch. So the first way that you can make money is the option assignment fee. The total amount of money that's going to be paid out in this transaction by the end tenant buyer, which is not you, your buyer number one, is going to be $4,000. $1,000 of that is going to go to the homeowner. Again, all of this is going to come from the end buyer. This is how you do the no money down, no credit check, anything like that on your part, because the end buyer is going to be the one who's going to be funding the deal. You're simply just putting them together. You're the meat in the middle. You're the middleman or middlewoman. And so that's how this works. So $1,000 is going to go to the homeowner as an option fee. It's non-refundable. And $3,000 is going to go to you in the form of an option assignment fee. And so if you're charging $4,000 in your marketing, so all your ads and everything are going to say $4,000, you've promised the homeowner using a promissory note to give them $1,000 for the option, right? And your total bill that you're advertising for this deal is $4,000, so you keep the difference, $3,000 in this case. So that's option number one. Option number two is to negotiate a slightly lower rent. So remember, the seller wanted $1,000 per month, and you offer and give the seller $900 per month. You then turn around and resell the rental amount in your advertising for $1,100 per month. So your net cash flow ends up being, or at least your upfront cash flow is going to be $200,000, and actually it should be your net. There shouldn't be any cost that you're going to be paying at all. But you're just going to make what the difference is in the middle. I paused there for a minute because I thought, well, let's see, is that what you're bringing in? Do you have any costs that you've got to go out? And the answer is no. You should just be collecting $200 a month. It's really cool on a property that you don't own. And remember, we're going to collect the $200 for 3 years. That's cool, right? That's $200 cash flow. Cash flow meaning that it's coming into your account on a regular basis. Cash flow usually is after all of your expenses, whatever's left over. In this case, you have no expenses, so it's 100% profit for you. Pretty cool. And then the third way that you can make money from this is you can repackage and increase your option price. So remember, the seller offered you a $100,000 purchase price. Well, a couple ways you can do this is you can renegotiate a slightly lower price, or you can accept the $100,000 price. And I know some of you are falling out of your seat going, what do you mean accepting? All the people that I watch on TV are telling me I've got to offer $50,000 for a $100,000 house. I've got to insult them and give them lowball offers and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to do that. Not when you're doing with a lease option. You can do close to the asking price. You can do the asking price, and sometimes you can even do over the asking price, depending on how long the term is, what the nature of the market is, what direction it's going, etc. And just so you know, I know people will argue with me about this, but I've never met anybody who was a psychic and who could tell what the purchase price would ultimately be and how much the house would appraise for in 3 years out. I've never met anybody who could do that. So this part here is kind of a guesstimate, and it's kind of a bonus, at least in my mind. So you can then repackage. Let's get back to it. So if let's say you offered $100,000, you could repackage and sell your new option price for $105,000 in the first year. Maybe you even want to do a little bit more in the second year, so you go $110,000, and in year 3 you offer $115,000. You may not do any of this. This is like if you can, right? If the buyer says, "Look, what am I getting the option for? Where's the valuable consideration here?" Well, without getting into all the different ways that they can do that, if they're negotiating hard with you and you're going, look, I'll tell you what, I'll just keep it at $110,000 for all 3 years, or I'll keep it at $105,000 for all 3 years. And if the house goes up in value, then fantastic. If it goes above $105,000, that equity is yours. If it goes below or stays the same, then you've got to renegotiate with the seller, right? Because nobody can predict what's going to happen in 3 years. There's no way to do that. So to me, this is kind of a bonus, but it's because it's unpredictable. I don't try to make all of my money in this particular part. So it is a way, but it's not the only way. And of course, if the buyer does, the good news, if we have a perfect scenario and the value goes up every year, and the buyer's happy, the seller's happy because they got their original $100,000 or maybe slightly lower, and you make the $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000 difference on the back end, then man, you've just made more money the third way on a property that you don't own, and you did it all drinking your black iced tea or your iced coffee in Starbucks. So again, simplified version, but definitely doable. And number 4 is, and I don't think many people do this, but I highly recommend it. I do it myself, and I have done it, and I'm doing it now. And that is to accept installments and charge interest. And what I mean by that is, your ideal scenario is to collect a $3,000 option assignment fee up front. That's what you really want. You want that $3,000 in your hand. But sometimes you'll find that maybe the person is short on the $3,000 and they don't have all of it up front, and they need to make payments, and maybe you're having a hard time selling the house. So you accept installments on the option. Now, you're taking a risk by doing that because, remember, we're not checking credit on these deals. So obviously you want to do your due diligence. You want to manually underwrite this transaction yourself and make sure that this person, if they had bad credit, it was far in the distant past, and they can demonstrate to you that today they can in fact make their payments on time, that they're doing good financially. And maybe some people have medical issues and becomes a disaster in their life, and so these are rare things. Maybe they had great credit prior to that, and maybe they're reestablishing their credit now, and they have been in the last couple of years. So my point is that you're looking at the whole picture. You're not just looking at a bunch of credit scored numbers, but you're actually looking at the whole entire picture, and you're manually underwriting, meaning you're manually looking at it, all this, all that is going on in this particular deal with this particular buyer to make sure that they're a good deal. Even still, if you are accepting installments, you are still taking some risk. Now, I recommend charging 10%. You need to ask your attorney in your state. That's what my attorney told me. So they said anything beyond that, and you can get yourself into trouble. So I stick with 10%, and I feel that's worth it because I am taking on risk by becoming a bank for somebody. Now, granted, this is I'm lending out money that isn't my money, right? It's off a home that I don't own because I'm not on title. I just own the option rights, and I'm just selling what I own, which is the option rights, which allows me to do this without a real estate license because I'm acting as a principal representing only myself. I don't represent the buyer. I don't represent the seller. I just represent me. So 10% is what I'm comfortable with doing, and being the bank. And so this is the fourth way that you can make money from a property that you don't own, that you've never seen, from working with buyers and sellers in this transaction that you'll never meet. Because remember, you're at Starbucks sipping on the coffee, or black iced tea, which I like to get once in a while. Add some whipped cream to it. But you get the idea, and that is that this is how to profit four different ways from a property you don't own, you'll never own, and that you've never seen, working with buyers and sellers you'll never meet. Pretty cool stuff. Don't get me wrong, I love to meet buyers and sellers, and I like to look at houses, but I like to be able to have my time freedom and financial freedom, and my time freedom allows me to be anywhere I want and not have to go driving around looking at properties, that kind of stuff. So hopefully this video was helpful, and that you have thought of some new ways to make more money in your business, and are seeing the vision, seeing the light. So hopefully, guys, you really enjoyed this. I've enjoyed making this video, and of course all the other videos that we have at our membership site, I enjoy making as well. And if you're not already a member, I hope that you will consider us as well at pushbuttoninvestor.com and becoming a member. Cool stuff. I'll help you personally build your business. All right, talk to you soon.